Hey, sports fans, PB&Z Sports Chaos. It's Friday the 13th, but it's also Masters Weekend. PB, I'm freaked out saying Masters Weekend in November. It's hard to grasp this whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. And, by the way, belated happy birthday to my co-host, PB. If you didn't see our Facebook, yesterday was his birthday. Happy birthday. Hey, what are you celebrating with right now? You're drinking something down there, right?
Yeah, I got my favorite South Florida beer. It's from Saltwater Brewery. It's called Screamin' Reels IPA 7.0. Totally my favorite, best beer I've ever had. It's awesome. And Valeska, she picked me up a six-pack yesterday for my birthday, brought it home from her work, and said, here's a six-pack of your favorite beer. So
nice. Well, I just happened to be having a little martini for happy hour, so a little more potent than 7.0, I think.
Yeah, I would say so.
All right, let's go. Let's hit this thing. We'll talk about the Masters momentarily, but first of all, some condolences. Unfortunately, R.I.P. Mr. Celtic, Tommy Heinsohn, passed away this week. Sorry to say, he was a great guy, a great player, a coach, two-time Hall of Famer, once as a player, one as a coach. And by the way, PB, I know Phil Jackson gets a lot of credit as being the all-time most successful 11 titles guy, but when you think about it, Tommy Heinsohn, 8 titles as a player, 2 as a coach, 4 as a team broadcaster. I don't know, but that math is 14. It's better than 11. That's all I got to say. Tommy, we'll miss you. All right. Yes. Hey, MLB. They had some awards this week. PB, you happen to live in the state of managers, apparently. Both the managers of the year came from Florida, right? Kevin Cash from Tampa Bay, and from your area, none other than Don Mattingly from the Florida Marlins, correct? Managers of the year. Good for them, right?
Well deserved. Well deserved. Okay. They both had good years.
By the way, apparently Ohio was the state of pitchers because the Cy Young Award went to 2 guys from Ohio. Both, ironically, were from Cleveland. One's still there. One is no longer. Shane Bieber from the Indians. He won for the AL. Trevor Bauer from the National League. He won it from the Reds. Good for them.
Who's a former
MVPs. What's that?
Who happens to be a former Indian as well.
That's right, right? So that's why I said, Indian guys.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, the MVPs, Freddie Freeman from the Braves, good for him because he had that very bad bout of COVID. Remember that before the season started?
Yes.
And he was unsure if he could play. He came back. He won the National League MVP. The American League MVP was won by Jose Abreu. By the way, speaking of the White Sox, PB, I'm blown away by this. So Tony La Russa, we talked about this. He's the manager after being out of the game for 10 years. He's about 107 years old. Apparently, he got in charge with DUI a couple weeks ago for an accident when he was arrested in February. How do you not get charged for 7 months? If it was you and I, we would have been charged on the spot, right?
Yeah. Crazy.
I don't get it. By the way, you know what he did? He whipped out his ring. I'm a Hall of Famer. Good job, Tony. All right. Hey, let's get to this Masters stuff. Whew. By the way, Masters tomorrow going to be a big day. You know why? College Game Day. It's going to be live at the Masters doing their College Game Day pre-show. I love it. That's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see that.
Classic.
Yeah. Hey, a lot of rain yesterday pushed a little bit of a delay. PB, this whole thing is all upside down now. You got guys finishing today. Guys are not going to finish tonight, have to finish tomorrow. Are they going to get this in by the end of Sunday, you think?
It's going to be close, but we'll see.
Wow. All right. Tiger Woods. Everybody always wants to know about Tiger Woods. He played bogey-free golf yesterday. He was -4. Right now, he's still -4 on Thursday. I think he's already played about 7 holes. He started around 2 o'clock. But the leader is none other than Dustin Johnson and 3 other guys, including this kid, Abe. I think it's Abraham Answer from Mexico, you said, PB?
Yep.
Never played the Masters before in his life, right? He's -9 at the moment.
Yeah, I know. It's a big surprise there, But Dustin Johnson's up there with that co-lead right now. I think it's going to get stronger as these next couple rounds go on.
Well, let me ask you that question. Who are you picking?
I think I'm going to stick with Dustin Johnson. I think he's going to, have a good Saturday, have a good Sunday, knock off a couple of the other guys. I like keep an eye on Brooks Koepka. He's not too far off the lead, and he's the type of guy that can come on strong, big player. So right now, I would say Johnson's my number one. Koepka's going to be my number 2 pick.
Whoa! I picked DJ as well. I got Dustin Johnson as well. Wow, we're front runners, I guess.
All right.
I got John Rahm if anybody else comes out of the blue. John Rahm, the guy that had 2 hole-in-ones earlier this week during practice rounds. So We'll see.
And what happened to Deschambault? Didn't he blow up?
He's right now, he's +2. He's already had 2 sevens on his scorecard today. Sounds like me and you.
He was one of the favorites to win, wasn't he?
By the way, he's got a 48-inch driver in his bag. That means he's got a little child in his bag, 4 feet tall. I mean, who hits a ball with a 4-foot stick? Is that unheard of?
Wow, that is crazy.
Oh my God, a 4-foot, he's got a little child in his bag. I don't know. All right, let's talk about college football.
All right.
My favorite things. Big week last week. Clemson lost to Notre Dame. I hate to say it. Oh my God, it was a great game, 2 overtimes. Did you watch?
I did watch some of it. I did not see the overtime part of it, but PB called it, though. PB called that game. I got Notre Dame in that one. Straight up, too.
You did. Good for you, man. Hey, Notre Dame's got BC. We're going to talk about that momentarily this week because I got a little DYK on that. By the way, I got a little fun fact about the Notre Dame head coach, Brian Kelly. Did you know he and I had a little occasion to meet on the football field twice in college?
Really?
Yes, Brian Kelly played for Assumption. I played for Fitchburg State my freshman and sophomore year, his junior and senior year. By the way, my sophomore year playing defensive back, I had a chance to beat Brian Kelly. They ran a fake field goal. I was playing corner. I looked up. The ball was coming into my hand. I reached up with one hand. I was looking up in the field. I go, 91-yard touchdown. No one could beat me. It deflected off my hand. They scored a touchdown off the plate with 7 seconds left.
Oh, God.
We were losing anyways. It just secured the deal. But I could have beat it. Brian Kelly would have been calling up me today. All right. Hey, let's get into this. Penn State lost again. They are now 0-3. Are they done? They
of course.
To be, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Michigan,
the Big Ten's done.
Well, yes, we'll talk about that in a second. Michigan, who you thought might win, Jim Harbaugh, he's now 1-2. He lost again last week. Is he done with Michigan? Do you think he'll get fired?
I mean, it's such a tradition, football tradition at that school. You can't last too long without getting into at least, a major bowl, if not, the college football playoffs. And he's not going to do either of those this year, obviously. They might cut him a little slack just because of the short season and COVID and everything. But next year he needs to get his act together.
There's talk about him going to the Jets. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know, man. I think he's done. If he gets fired, I think he's out of head coaching. All right. Hey, by the way, your team, Florida, they beat Georgia, my pick, to be second in the SEC. You were right on that one. Good for you. I got a little warning for you, though. Once Alabama beats Florida in the SEC playoffs, Texas A&M will sneak in as the number 2 team out of the SEC. Watch for that.
That could happen. That's a good point because the Alabama and A&M are in the same side of the equation there, so they don't play each other in the final, right?
And A&M beat Florida earlier this year.
I know. So you got a great point there. Florida's going to have to run the table to get in, which I'm hoping they do because that's going to keep Ohio State out too.
Speaking of that, man, we got 11 postponements or cancellations this week. As you know, we talked about this several times on the show. The Big Ten, they don't play those games over, right? So
no, they cancel. They don't post.
So Ohio State is losing this game this week with Maryland because that's a cancellation at this point in time. I think you're right, man. Ohio State is not going to get in just by the sheer default that they're not going to have enough games. By the way, I got a little theory for you. I think all the other teams in the Big Ten are going to come down with COVID the week before they play Ohio State, and Ohio State's not going to play any more games all year.
It could happen.
We'll see, man. I don't know. All right, let's get into our picks. You ready for this?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So last week, I went 2-2, but my two wins were the two big games, and I picked them both straight up. I picked that Florida to beat Georgia, and I picked Notre Dame to beat Clemson. I didn't even want the points. I said straight up, they're going to win those games, and so those were the two big ones. You had the Indiana game, so that was a good call by you last week.
My upset special. You're
Both
right.
lost on Texas. Texas won the game. They just didn't cover.
Right. Right. All right. We'll see. I don't even know. We're going to pick 4 games right now, and we have no idea tomorrow morning when we wake up these games will even be played at this point in time, right?
Yeah, right. Good point. Good point. But let's go ahead and pick them anyways.
All right. First one we got, a little Michigan theme here. Indiana plays Michigan State. Both of them beat Michigan this year. Number 10, Indiana. Can you believe I'm saying this? Our friend Rick P. would love to hear this. Number 10, Indiana in the country. I can't even believe it. They're a 7-point favorite over Michigan State at Michigan State. Who do you like?
Yeah, so Michigan State, even though this goes to show you how bad Michigan really is, because they beat Michigan, but their 2 losses were to Rutgers, and then they got blown out by Iowa. I mean, absolutely blown out by Iowa. So Michigan State's not a good team. Don't let that win over Michigan fool you. Indiana's laying a touchdown in this game, and I'm going to, even though they're on the road, I'm going to take the Hoosiers and lay the 7 points on this one.
All right, I'm on the fence, but you know what? You sold me. I'm going to take the Hoosiers as well. All right, let's speak about Michigan. They're the home team against number 13, Wisconsin. Wisconsin hasn't played in 3 weeks because of COVID. It's only a 4.5-point game for Wisconsin as the favorite. I can't believe it's even that close. What do you think?
Yeah, again, just shows you how bad Michigan really is. With that loss to Michigan State, who's been blown out by other teams. So I'm going to go ahead and take the road team again here and lay those 4.5 points. I really think the Badgers are going to take down Michigan on the road.
I agree with you. I mean, as bad as Michigan's been, I got to believe Wisconsin wins by at least a touchdown.
But here's another thing, too. We're talking about Ohio State. That means these teams like Wisconsin – they're in Indiana even, despite the fact that they could potentially run the table, they're not in the CFP discussion at all.
No. And by the way, Northwestern and Indiana are the 2 best, second best teams in the Big Ten after Ohio State at this point in time. Go figure, right?
Yeah.
All right, this was a shock to me. I can't believe it. You're wearing the jersey of the Hurricane, the U. They are a 2-point underdog to Virginia Tech. I don't even understand that. I know it's at Virginia Tech, but PB, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm going to go right down the line here and take a road team again. Here's a team that's going on the road, and I don't have to lay the points like I am with the other 2. I'm actually getting a couple points here, so I'm going to take Miami.
I'm with you as well. I don't even know how they're a 2-point underdog to Virginia Tech. This is unbelievable. All right. And finally, we're going to pick this game because I got a little DYK for you. Notre Dame comes up here to BC to play my Eagles. They're a 13.5-point favorite. Before you lay your pick, I got a little DYK for you. Last time Notre Dame beat a number 1 team, do you know when that was?
Last weekend?
Prior to that, I'm sorry. Prior to that win last week.
No, I don't.
1993, they beat Florida State. That's not the story. The story is who they played the following week. Boston College. Boston College went to Notre Dame and won the game. All right, give me a pick.
Well, I mean, the money's coming in on BC on this because it's down to 12. It opened at 13.5, I think. It's already down to 12. So money's coming in on BC on this. Notre Dame.
We're going to bet it at 13.5.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, Notre Dame's right up there, number 2 in the country right now. They're undefeated. They're playing a team that's, BC's been up and down. They've lost some games they probably could have or should have won. I could see BC staying close, but I think in the end, this is the type of game that BC will be only down, keep it within a touchdown, but then Notre Dame's going to score a touchdown or 2 down the stretch and make it like a 14, 17-point game. So I'm going to lay the points and take Notre Dame.
Okay. BC covers, and don't be surprised we see 1993 deja vu. All right.
Okay.
Let's get into the NFL. Last night, your Colts finally showed up. They beat the Titans. I was shocked by that, 34-17. Now I'm going to ask you a question, PB. Are the Titans in trouble? They lost to Cincinnati 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, I think they're in a little bit of trouble because, aside from Derrick Henry, on offense, they have a good running game, but their passing game with Tannehill and A.J. Brown, he's back. He only had one catch last night for 20 yards. Pascal's there are a bunch of number 4 receivers after that. Hilton's, I'm sorry, he's not the side of the ball.
Hilton's those guys are the Colts.
But I'm sorry. After A.J. Brown, they don't. Corey Davis. They don't have a lot of guys that can make that offense run. And I thought that team could hang their hat on their defense, but their defense has not been playing well lately. They're actually near the bottom of the league in some of the defensive categories. So I think they are in a lot of trouble. I think they make the playoffs.
I think they're going to bounce back. I have faith. A.J. Brown, I'm surprised that I didn't consider him more for my fantasy player. He's a stud. That kid's a stud. And I believe Corey. I like Corey. I remember him in college. I think he's going to make some plays for them.
How do you explain last night? Big game. They needed to come back. They needed to throw the ball. And he's in Indianapolis's defense's weakness is probably their corners and their backfield. And A.J. Brown can't make it happen.
I will say this. I believe Mike Vrabel has to temper his ego. He is very egotistical. He's a little bit cocky, and sometimes he coaches that way. He needs to temper that a little bit.
So you're blaming A.J. Brown not making plays or getting the ball down the stretch when they're –
I believe Vrabel thinks that he can just do what he wants. If it's going to run the ball or whatever, and if it doesn't work, he's not going to go to his plan B. He's going to stick with plan A to the end of the day. He's a little bit cocky. Much like a guy we're going to talk next, Bruce Arians, because Tampa Bay got rocked by the Saints last week, 35-3. TB12 looked absolutely horrible. It was his worst loss of his career. First time he's ever been swept by a division opponent. I'm going to just say this right now. I think it's Arians' fault. I don't know. What do you think?
I wouldn't say it's his fault 100%. They just weren't making plays. Offensively they look horrible. Defensively they look horrible. And that team's a good defensive team. They're still in top of the league in some categories despite that game. So he might not be I wouldn't say he's a bad fit, but I'm not going to say he's a great fit either. So something's got to give there. This team is very, very talented on both sides of the ball. They're definitely a Super Bowl contender. So he's going to have a short leash. He's got to do something with that team.
PB, let me ask you a question. You got a roster with Rojo, right? Roland Jones.
Yep.
Levy and Bell is your number 2, and Shady McCoy's your number 3, and you run the ball 5 times when you got one of the best play-action passes in history as your quarterback?
Hell, yeah. Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette's the number 2.
I'm sorry, Leonard Fournette. Yeah. Leonard Fournette.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, didn't they break an NFL record?
Yes. That's the first time a team's only ran the ball 5 times in the game.
And the fifth rush was a knee. That was a knee at the end of the game. So they really had 4 rushing plays. And then the backup quarterback took a knee to end the game.
It was mind-boggling. It was so mind-boggling. I turned it off at halftime because I just never saw something as bad. All right. Yeah. I think he's a bad fit, Arians, but we'll see what happens. They get a bounce-back game. We'll talk about it in our picks. Hey, by the way, your Fins, they beat the Cards, your 2 playoff teams that no one saw coming in the playoff elimination. Do you still think both of them can make the playoffs at this point in time?
Yeah, they're both sitting at 5-3 right now, right? And I think they're both tied for a playoff spot for that last spot if the season were to end today. So they just got to play good football. I predicted both teams to go 10-6. They're both 5-3 right now. They got to have 5-3 second halves. If they do, they'll both be 10-6. They'll both make the playoffs.
All right.
And their schedules aren't terribly hard. So
They're not, but I think there's some speed bumps there for the Dolphins. Hey, Steelers. Whoa! Who saw that coming? They almost lost. What the heck? Are the trains coming off the track for the Steelers?
Yeah, I still – you had to make in the playoffs as a wild card. I had them not even making the playoffs. I had them as the trade-off team for the Dolphins. Maybe if the Dolphins didn't have the year I was hoping they would have, the Steelers could sneak in. Steelers are clearly going to make the playoffs as a wild card. There's no question about that. But can Baltimore still win that division? Absolutely. And
Well, let me ask you a question. If Big Ben, who's been on the COVID list this week, right? If he can't play because of COVID Sunday, do they lose to the Bengals?
I think Cincinnati could beat them. I really do.
I'm with you. I agree on that one. All right. Hey, the Bills spanked the Seahawks. I mean, do we not appreciate the Bills? I mean, we both didn't have them ranked as high as we thought in our top 5 in the AFC, right?
No, we may have, right. We left them off. We do have them both winning both of us have them winning the division though, still, which
right.
The only team I think that could potentially compete with them for that would be the Dolphins at this point. But I'm still not sold. They got blown out by good teams. The good teams have blown them out. And in the games they're supposed to win, except for that game. That was the one game they went out and beat a legitimate opponent. So that might be a sign of them coming back. We'll see. They got Arizona on the road this year. Let's see what they do. We're
going to talk about that. By the way, the Seahawks are the ones I'm a little concerned with after that game because they did not show up, in my opinion. So we'll see. All right. By the way, did the Pats, they won last week, obviously, against the Jets, but did they mismanage the end of the game? They almost let the time run out, right?
Yeah, you know what? I'll be the first to admit, I fell asleep. I actually fell asleep for that game. I was disgusted at halftime that they were down, that they let that last touchdown up at the end of the half on a pass interference call that was questionable, and then that next play, I'm like, you know what? Screw this game. I'd rather get my sleep, and I fell asleep.
I watched it on DVR the next morning. All right, let's do our picks. I was 3-3 last week. I came back to earth. What were you, 4-2?
No, I think I was also 3-3. I think we.
Oh, wow! Yeah. I thought you beat me. All right.
No, I think.
All right, this week, Tampa Bay, they got to rebound big this week. Carolina, who is better than people think at the end of the day, but McCaffrey's not playing again. Unfortunately, got hurt last week. Who do you like?
Yeah, I mean, I would have maybe leaned on the side of Carolina if CMC was healthy, because they are playing pretty good. Bridgewater's playing good, but I think Brady's not gonna. You know, we talked about Belichick not losing 2 in a row. Brady will not lose 2 in a row. He's going to come back, and I think he's going to win this game on the road. So I'm going to take
even if he has to check out of every play the Arians calls. All right. I'm going to pick this one. We're going to pick this one because it's an interesting battle of the rookie quarterbacks. The Chargers go to your Dolphins, the battle of the rookies. LA's been very tough this year. Even though they're 2-6, they've lost almost every game by a touchdown or less. Who do you like?
Yeah, and the game last week against the Raiders was really, really interesting at the end there, how they lost that one. And LA, they're scoring points. They got a good offense. They're like one of the top 5 offenses in the league, but their defense isn't that good. And Miami's won 4 straight. They're playing good football right now. Defensive Tua looks like he can manage that team, which I'm really surprised and happy to see. I think Miami wins their 5th straight in this home game. LA traveling across the country for the game, so I'm going to give it to the Dolphins.
All good points, but also Dolphins are 3 guys on the COVID list who may not play on defense. Herbert eats them up. Chargers win that game, in my opinion.
Okay.
Right. Baltimore with the Pats. This game is not what it used to be, but you know what? I find it interesting. I only put this on the agenda because it's big Cam versus little Cam. Cam Newton versus Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Cam Newton was Lamar Jackson in the first place. They're both the same guys. Neither one of them can really throw a pass. Who do you like?
Yeah. I'm surprised you even have this game on because New England just does not look good as of late. Baltimore, as a franchise, owns the Patriots, it seems. We're going to see some more of the same here. The Ravens win this game easily.
I'm going to say this. It's a 7-point game. If I was picking points, I'd pick the Pats, but I agree with you. The Ravens win the game. I think people have figured out Lamar, unfortunately, because the Baltimore offense is too stagnant. They don't have enough imagination. So we'll see, but Baltimore wins. All right, here we go. We got some good games coming up now. Buffalo goes to Arizona. Kyler versus Josh. What do you think?
Yeah, this is one of those games. I think Buffalo had a big game last week in Seattle, but here's another team they got to play on the road, a legitimate opponent. They haven't showed me much other than that Seattle game where we all know Seattle's pass defense is like one of the worst in the league. So that's not going to be the same here when they go to Arizona. So I'm going to take the Cardinals to win this game. Cardinals going to bounce back from their loss to Miami, and Buffalo is going to, get a check of reality after beating Seattle.
I so want to pick my boy Kyler Murray from OU. As we know, I'm a Sooner fan, but I got to believe that Buffalo is a legitimate Super Bowl contender. They're going to win this game. So I'm picking Buffalo.
Wow. Okay. So we're different on 2 so far. Okay.
All right. Seattle goes to the Rams. PB, I know you don't like the Rams. You're starting to fall a little bit more in line with my thinking with these guys, but Vegas loves them. They are once again a favorite in this game. I don't get it, but they are. By the way, they're 1 game behind Seattle right now. I'm surprised by that. Who do you think wins this game?
Well, here's the way I look at this. Seattle right now has the number 3 offense in the NFL yards per game. And the Rams have the number 6 offense yards per game. So they do have really good offenses. Seattle obviously better again, better passing, not so much rushing. Rams are opposite, more so rushing, not so much passing. But here's an interesting stat. Points per game. Seattle, number 1 in the NFL. The Rams, number 21.
Okay.
Tell you. That tells you Seattle finishes off their drives.
Right.
Rams don't. And for that reason, I'm taking the Seahawks.
On the flip side, Seattle is the worst pass defense, or second worst, I think, in the NFL, right?
Yeah.
So,
but LA's strength on offense is their running game, not their passing game. So
Seattle's not that good on rush defense. Either. So, they're in the bottom third of defense overall. I want to pick Seattle. I like Russell Wilson a lot. I got to pick the Rams, though.
Wow. Okay.
All right, last game. Plus, I've already picked 4 other teams, or the away team. Somebody home's going to win. I'm not picking the home team next. Minnesota,
I just realized it.
Chicago.
We're actually different on every pick so far, except for Brady and the Bucs.
We both picked Baltimore.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right, so we're different on 3. All right, gotcha. Okay, so Minnesota at Chicago. I'm going to ride my Chicago's not as good as their record, and their record's starting to get not that good because they've been losing in recent weeks, including a loss to Tennessee that was just brutal for them. They just can't get things going offensively. They're one of the worst offensive teams in the NFL. And Minnesota's defense is, they're sneaky good. They're not as bad as people think. And, they do have the weapons on offense to I think, beat Chicago. So I'm going to take the Vikings on the road in this one.
The weapons? They got Dalvin Cook. He's gone for 200-plus yards in 2 straight games. They got a great offense.
That's what I said.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's what I said. They got some good weapons on offense.
By the way, Minnesota was my pick to win the NFC North. I don't know if they can pull it out. Green Bay's got a big lead, but they're going to make the playoffs, I think. All right. PB, good picks, brother. So we're picking 3 different then.
Yeah, we got 3 different this week. We got the Chargers, Miami. We're different on Seattle, the Rams, and Buffalo, Arizona. So we'll see. By
the way, we got some good games next weekend as well. There's a lot of playoff competition, so we'll see. Sports fans, anything else, PB, before we sign off?
No, signing off this week. We'll catch you next week.
All right. Take care. Have a good weekend.